All right, let's dive into something pretty interesting today. We've got this article from NMI. NMI 2025 predictions. Decentralized finance will become mainstream. It caught my eye because, well, DeFi going mainstream, that's a big statement. But to be honest, I'm not even sure everyone's on the same page with what DeFi really is. Like, what's the elevator pitch?
DeFi, or decentralized finance, it's essentially about using blockchain technology to create financial services that bypass traditional institutions. Sending money, investing, even getting loans, all without needing a bank.
Okay, I get it. But why hasn't this taken off already? I mean, blockchain's been around for a while.
It has. But there have been hurdles, Risk is a big one. And the technology, well, it hasn't always been up to the task of handling lots of transactions.
Right, it's not exactly user-friendly.
Yeah.
And that whole connection to cryptocurrency, it doesn't help.
Definitely not. But NMI is saying that's all about to change. And they're pointing to three main forces converging to make 2025 the turning point.
Lay it on me. What are these game changers?
The first one, it's the regulatory landscape. It's shifting. Governments are becoming more open to blockchain tech, even competing to become leaders in the space.
So less red tape, more green lights.
Potentially, that regulatory clarity, it could really remove a major roadblock for DeFi.
Makes sense. What's the second force?
Tech advancements, of course. We're seeing scalable and private blockchains that can handle the volume of transactions you'd need for mainstream finance.
So basically, the tech is finally catching up to the ambition.
Exactly. And the third force, well, it's the financial industry itself. It's under pressure to modernize.
They've got to keep up with the fintech revolution, right?
Exactly. Even institutions like the Federal Reserve are pushing for faster, cheaper payments with things like FedNow. This push for modernization, it creates the perfect breeding ground for DeFi to flourish.
Okay, so we've got friendlier regulations, better tech, and an industry hungry for change. NMI's argument is starting to make sense.
Right. The slowness, the costs, the lack of transparency, all those pain points could be addressed with DeFi.
Like waiting ages for international transfers to go through. And the fees, don't even get me started. But hold on, NMI also mentioned something about central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Where did those fit in?
Now this is where it gets even more interesting. NMI suggests that CBDCs could be the key to bridging the gap between the mainstream and that crypto world that makes people nervous. Because CBDCs are backed by governments, they have a level of trust that crypto just doesn't. So people might be much more willing to dip their toes into DeFi if it's tied to a CBDC they already feel comfortable with.
Kind of like having a trusted guide in a new, unfamiliar place.
Precisely. And NMI predicts that by 2025, we'll see a significant increase in the number of operational CBDCs globally. That could be the catalyst that truly pushes DeFi into the mainstream. And here's the thing. NMI isn't saying DeFi is going to kill traditional banking. They're actually saying it could make those institutions more efficient.
Huh. I always thought the whole point was to cut out the middleman.
Yeah, there's that element to it, but NMI's focus is more on how DeFi can streamline things, not just replace them. They talk about these advancements in scalable private blockchains that could make DeFi a real solution for institutions that are, frankly, struggling to keep up with all the fintech innovation happening.
So instead of replacing banks, it becomes a tool for them to modernize.
Exactly. Think of areas like cross-border payments or micro-lending. Those are things that are traditionally very cumbersome and expensive for banks to handle. DeFi could make them significantly more efficient.
Right. So we've talked about benefits for institutions, but what about the average person? How does this impact them?
Well, for you and me, it means easier access to financial products and services. Think faster payments, lower fees, maybe even completely new financial products that we haven't even thought of yet.
It sounds like DeFi could make finance more accessible for everyone.
Exactly. It's not just about making things cheaper and faster. It's about empowering people with more control over their own finances.
That's a pretty exciting prospect. But let's say DeFi does become mainstream. What are the specific advancements in blockchain tech that could really accelerate that adoption? What does that future-ready payments landscape actually look like?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it seems NMI is diving deep into that with their upcoming white paper, From Frictionless to Future-Ready, NMI's payment trends and predictions for 2025.
From frictionless to future-ready, huh? Sounds like required reading if we want to understand where all of this is heading.
Absolutely. I'm really curious to see what specific advancements NMI highlights and how they envision that future-ready world playing out. Their perspective, as a leader in the payment space, it could offer some pretty valuable insights for, anyone working in the industry, especially folks like ISOs, PayFacs, and software companies. They're the ones navigating this landscape day in and day out.
All right, so just to recap, NMI is predicting DeFi will go mainstream in 2025, driven by this combination of regulatory shifts, technological advancements, and the industry's need to modernize.
And it's not about replacing traditional banking. It's about enhancing it, creating a more inclusive financial system, and frankly, opening up a world of possibilities.
Definitely a future worth keeping an eye on. Understanding the potential of DeFi is crucial for anyone in payments, especially for those of us who want to provide innovative and efficient payment solutions.
Absolutely. The insights that NMI is providing can help us all anticipate these changes and, well, harness the power of DeFi to shape a more inclusive and accessible financial future. It really feels like NMI is positioning themselves to be a leader in this whole move toward a DeFi-powered future.
Yeah, and their expertise in payments, that gives them a unique vantage point to see how these changes are going to play out.
Absolutely. Their insights are super valuable, especially for those of us working within the payments ecosystem. ISOs, PayFacs, software companies, we all need to understand where DeFi is headed and what it means for the solutions we build.
For sure. As we wrap up this deep dive, one thing's clear to me. DeFi is not just some trendy buzzword. This could be a real game changer.
Yeah, it's got that potential, doesn't it?
This confluence of, everything we've talked about. The regulatory shifts, the tech getting better and better, the industry needing to evolve. It really does create the perfect conditions for DeFi to take off.
And I think what's really exciting is that it's not just about making payments faster and cheaper. DeFi has the potential to completely change how we think about finance, to give individuals more power, more control.
A more democratic system almost.
Right.
So as we move toward this future-ready payments world everyone's talking about, it's crucial for us to stay informed, right? To keep learning and adapting to these changes as they happen.
No doubt. And I think NMI's white paper, From Frictionless to Future Ready, that's a great resource to dig deeper into all this.
Definitely adding that to my reading list.
I think everyone listening should. It's a good time to really start thinking about how DeFi might impact your business and the payments landscape as a whole.
It's a whole new frontier of finance, and we've got a front row seat.
Well, that's about it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.